It was a weekend to remember for South African cricket fans, and I am coming to you live to give you guys a quick update on everything that has happened over the last couple of days. I was meant to go live with you guys yesterday, but as you guys know, with the match being rain affected and ending later than expected, uh, the opportunity to go live last night was impossible. So I was at Newlands covering that game. So I didn't really get an opportunity to go live for that particular match. But I'm here with you guys tonight, and I'm going to be giving you guys an overview of everything that happened over the last 4 days or so, and discuss everything quite in detail because there was quite a lot of things to be proud of from a South African point of view. There were some great performances from the under 19s in the SA20 as well. There were a lot of South Africans that put up their hands, some that didn't do so well in the tournament up until this point, and have now come to the party and shown their capabilities. So there is quite a bit to speak about on today's show, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys once again, because it's been some time since I've seen your guys' comments, etc. So here we go. We're going to be starting with this show, and we're going to be going quite in depth into all of those type of things that have happened over the last couple of days. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things that I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and we're really close and really, really close to that milestone. So please help us get there. You can also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. I am busy working on the next edition that will be coming out in the next few days. So please stay tuned for that and subscribe right now because you'll get a notification on when that one has been published. There's also an exciting announcement that we have launched the business corner of Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is majority of the time we are trying to help small businesses in South Africa try and market effectively and affordably to a cricket audience. And we have found a solution for you guys to do so. And we are the only viable option within the cricket community. So please send this to your friends and family or colleagues that are entrepreneurs, business owners, have startups, etc., trying to sell products, and let them get in touch with us by the link on the screen as well as in the description, and we can start a conversation to try and help them market their business effectively and affordably. So please go ahead and share that far and wide. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Let's get straight into it. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid Moedin, and this is the show where we talk about everything that's important, everything that was exciting, everything that stood out in South African cricket over the last couple of days. It was quite an exciting weekend for South African fans. I think that we got to see some future talent, some current talent, all put up their hands, all perform, and it was something to be proud of, I think, from a South African cricket standpoint. And that's what I want to discuss on today's show. We will be getting in more into, as the days go by now, closer and closer to the test match, we'll be getting more into test match discussion. Really, that's what we're going to be focusing on this channel. I will be doing a lot of Proteas content leading up to the New Zealand tour, because for me personally, that is the most important cricket from a South African perspective that is happening at this point. The South African team is a fresh team with some new faces, and they Hey, I'm back. I don't know what happened there. My computer just restarted on its by itself. So, like I was saying, the New Zealand tour is going to be the most important factor and most important aspect of South African cricket that we're going to be following on this channel. I'll be doing review shows and preview shows of the match, and leading up, we're going to get possibly some interviews from from New Zealand itself. Cricket South Africa will send us a couple of press conferences, and we'll be reacting to what the players or the coaches that they're going to be giving us. We're going to be reacting what they have to say. But like I said, this show is not about the New Zealand tour right now. This is about what has happened over the last weekend or so, couple of days in South African cricket. And I'm going to start off with the S under 19 team, because what a performance we saw from the boys against Scotland. It was a fight to get into the Super Six, and the main thing was to try and win the match, of course, against Scotland, but also by topping the group, it would put South Africa in a very good position with regards to who they'll be facing in the Super Sixes. Now, we have had confirmation that it will be Sri Lanka that they face. But let's just talk first about that game against Scotland. When Scotland was batting, South Africa was really, really struggling to take wickets. Other than that first two wickets, I would say, uh, from one from Norton and one from Potsane, Scotland started to find themselves and claw themselves back into the match, and they were might not have scored at a fast rate, but they were digging their heels in to get a decent target. They took themselves from 85 for 2 to 200, and it was Jamie Dunk that was absolutely fantastic with his 90 of 121 balls. He was really making it hard for the South Africans to score, to take wickets. And that was the main factor that we were struggling with. And Potch is not necessarily always the easiest place to dominate as a bowler. And we're starting to see that. It does seem to always be a batter's paradise. And that's what we were kind of seeing with regards to this team. But they finally took his wicket. Norton getting his wicket. He's been looking really good, swinging the ball quite well, and he's been looking pretty good throughout this tournament. I'm actually been pretty impressed with the way he can swing the ball both ways. So that is a nice thing from South African perspective to have that in your side. And they were 200 for 3 after 41.6 overs. That just shows the slow rate that they were batting on at. But then they continued to kick on and continue to score runs. And Owen Gold was fantastic. He got 97 of 89 balls before Mapaka took his wicket. But he batted quite deep into the innings. He only lost his wicket in the last over. So he took the Scottish team to 267 for 6, and started to take the game a little bit away from South Africa, because I thought that 270 to 80, generally speaking, is a good total in under 19 ODI cricket. We've seen that can be in some cases a winning score. So they did put the pressure on South Africa. And if you look at the South African team, they haven't necessarily been very consistent with their performances with the bat. They've been up and down with their performances in general. So what has happened here was I was a little bit nervous with regards to the chase, but uh, the guys came out to bat, and Steve Stork was incredible. I mean, he was hitting the Scottish bowlers all around the ground. He hit 8 sixes and 7 fours at a strike rate of 232 and scored a 37 ball 86. There was a lot of talk about him before the World Cup. We did an exclusive interview with him on the chat in our magazine, in the SA20 magazine edition, because I thought that it would be interesting to talk to him, because he got picked up in the SA20 as a youngster, but obviously because of the World Cup didn't play. So I thought it would be interesting to talk to him and see what his journey has been like up until now. So go and read that exclusive interview in Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly, because it gives some insight from his dad. We interviewed his dad and got some insight into what type of player he is and what type of mentality his son has. So we do get a nice in-depth view into Steve Stork's mentality and his ability as a cricketer. So go read that in the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly, which is available for you 100% free straight to your inbox every month. Okay, so I think Steve Stork was fantastic, and of course, he was for me the man of the match. By all means, he was awarded that as well by the panel, and he set up South Africa brilliantly because that was exactly what we needed. We needed a platform, and he provided it within no time. By 9 overs, we were already at 114 runs before Stark lost his wicket. So he already put up a massive platform and gave loads of time for our batters to get their eye in and score runs. Now, they tried something different here. The under 19 coaching staff or whoever decided to do so, they decided to send Tristan loose up the order, try and get him to maybe play more freely and get his to open up his arms a bit. But it didn't last long. He only stayed around for 13 balls and he only scored 14. And then the carnage started. I have to give probably my play of the tournament so far for South Africa has been Devon Murray. He's impressed me the most. I know about Steve Stork and he's done some excellent work, but I feel that Devon Murray has performed in times when South Africa really, really needed him to perform and they really needed him to come to the party. And I think playing under that pressure is important for any player, whether you're a youngster or an older player. So he was fantastic again in this match. He scored 80 or 50 balls, 8 4s and 3 6s at a strike of 160. And along with David Tigo, who got 43 of 38 balls, 6 4s, Devon Murray was absolutely fantastic. And they took South Africa over the line. And not only that, they took them to the top of the log of the Super Sixes, which was so, so important. You could see it in the celebrations. You could see it in the way that the team all hugged each other and celebrated the victory, that how much it meant to them. So South Africa obviously will play in the Super Sixes now, and they're going to be playing against Sri Lanka. And that's going to be the next fixture that we can look forward to when it comes to the Under 19 World Cup. So it's going to be on the, let me just double check. I have the fixtures here in front of me. Um, I think on the 2nd of February they play them. Let me just double check. On the 2nd of February at Potchefstroom as well. That is also very important. The victory and topping the log meant that they stay in Potchefstroom, so they don't have to travel again. So they're very familiar with the Potchefstroom wicket, and that's something that where they've gotten some victories on the wicket, familiar with the ground. So going into an important Super Six clash, it helps a lot to know that you know the surface, and they know the surface quite well now. So it gives them a little bit of an edge going into this match. So I was very impressed with South Africa's performance, particularly with the bat from Devon Murray, from Steven Stork. And I had to highlight that as one of the highlights of the weekend for me is that they made it to the Super Sixes. A lot of people have been doubting the under 19 team that they wouldn't make it off to the knockout stages, but they managed to do so. I mean, West Indies is looking really good, England's looking really good as well, but they got over the hurdle of Scotland, and they did it with some ease because they finished the match, which I didn't tell you, in 27 overs, a 50 over match in 27 overs. They chased 270. They chased that 270 target within 27 overs, which is brilliant. It's a brilliant feat, and it all was kickstarted and set up by brilliant innings from Steve Stork. So he's really one for the future, and for me as well, Devon Murray is one for the future. The reason why I like Devon Murray so much is I feel that the time that I've watched him play, he does seem very adaptable at the crease. He's good at running between the wickets. He can accelerate. He can also play the longer game and bat deep or bat for long hours. So that's what I've liked about him so far. He has a very much an all-round game. He looks very solid in his technique, and he looks very solid in his approach. And I feel that he's adaptable. He can change his game according to the situation. and he's been consistent as well, which is a key factor for any cricketer. If you're showing signs of consistency at a young age, that's a really, really positive attribute to have at such a young age. So that was the under 19 game, and I think that was important to highlight. And then came a flurry of SA20 matches. And interesting enough, the table is starting to heat up. And this SA20 has brought us quite a lot of entertainment, but as well, a lot of South Africans have performed extremely well. Now, we've been waiting for certain South African Proteas players to step up and show their ability in this format. Um, at the SA20, and finally we got innings from one of the guys that are one of the favorite players of the tournament, and one of the stars of last season, of course, as a captain, and that was Aiden Markram. Aiden Markram came to the party finally, scoring his milestone, and helping his team get into a strong position against MI Cape Town. He scored 54 of 32 balls. He was obviously helped by Tom Abel's 60 of 44, but he batted at a striker of 166, 168, and two fours and two sixes in his knock. And he was pivotal in getting his team to 169. And then they got themselves to 175 thanks to a cameo from Tristan Stubbs, who's showing some amazing form. I mean, he had to bat there for runs, and he had to do it as fast as possible. So I'm not going to judge his innings too much. He had to go for it. So he scored 23 of 13. But they got to 175 for six. And at that point, I thought, 175 is chaseable, in my opinion, especially with the start to the tournament that MI Cape Town had. But the start to this match for them wasn't good at all. They just managed cameos in this match, even though they got themselves to 171 for seven. No one got a milestone. No one got to that point where they could feel, okay, you know what? I can go on here and score massive 50, which some of the SEC batters were able to do. I mean, Ryan Rickleton got a good start and then went out. He scored 27. And Deval Brevis, I'm really feeling a bit, I would say, I feel for the guy a bit, because there's a lot of criticism he's getting online. And I think that it's not necessary to judge a youngster like that on social media and criticize him. There was bound to be a time where he's going to dip in form and where he's going to be struggling. And I still feel there's a lot of room for improvement within his game, and we need to allow him the time to develop. I've said this from the start. I said this from the moment that I saw him play in the Under-19 World Cup, and he went crazy in that World Cup. I said that I know he's a great talent, but we need to allow him to develop his game and really find a way for him to play first class cricket so that he can improve his game, improve his technique, improve his mentality, find consistency, all of those type of things, because it's very difficult for any youngster to come from under-19 cricket and straight into the men's cricket and dominate. We've seen patches of him, which I expected. I always expected Deval Brevis to have flashes of performances here and there within Division 1, in the one-day cups, in the T20s, in first class cricket, and start to find his consistency as he gets a little bit older and gets a little bit more experience. You have to take into account as well, when you play against the senior guys, they tend to work you out. They tend to find ways for you to score against you. To take your wicket, sorry. And he needs to have that time to develop, and he needs to have that time to improve his game and to find a place where he can be more consistent. And I think that we as fans need to be the ones to give him that support, because the media are going to climb into him, into this youngster, and I think that we need to support him as fans. I've always tried to be as fair as possible when it comes to certain players, and when it comes to all players, actually. And I want to just pose that opportunity, take this opportunity to ask you guys to also join in with me to try and support him. I think that MI Cape Town is doing the right thing right now to allow him to play through this patch. He's starting to show some signs of form. And I think this particular tournament, in my opinion, for him, it's not about necessarily always scoring milestones or winning. It's about him developing as a cricketer and learning more about his technique and about more about his game so that he can improve it. That's where I sit with Deva Brevis. Now, I have to take my hat off to Robin Peterson for not giving up hope with the youngster and giving him the opportunity to be able to play through this patch. And I'm not by any means saying that that he should be excused for his form. When he plays badly, we need to obviously call it out and we need to speak about it. But I think that at the same time, you also need to be understanding and try and support our younger players, because us all getting onto his back and calling him names and being the way we are with him online will just do bad. It will just do will just be menacing to his career rather than being uplifting. I would rather give him the best chance to succeed by uplifting him, making him obviously making him understand that that this form is nowhere good enough, but also supporting him and putting an arm around him and saying, you know what, Dioval, just like be you, play your natural game, fight through this difficult patch because all cricketers go through that, even the greats. So that's where I stand with Dioval as well. But it doesn't cover up the fact that MI Cape Town have had an exceptionally poor season again. They have played 8 games, they are 9 points. Their run rate is minus 0.046. The chances of them going into the playoffs is slim. We need JSK to obviously, they're going to need JSK to lose their matches. And they're going to have to also win by bonus points in the last 2 matches against Pretoria Capitals, who lost today against DSG. So that is unfortunate for that team, and they need to find a way on how to uh, find a winning formula going forward in the SA20, because they've been poor last season and they're poor again this season. It was quite funny actually in the match yesterday, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Then I want to highlight someone. It's a pity I didn't put him on the thumbnail this time around. I had a little chat to him after the Paul Royce DSG game, which I'm going to talk about now, and that is Matthew Brzezinski. Matthew Brzezinski has been absolutely phenomenal over the season, but particularly over the last few games. Matthew Brzezinski is showing that he can also play T20 cricket, because I remember when he got called up to play for the Proteas, a lot of people were questioning the decision, saying, why is he being called up? Why is he in the team? Shouldn't someone else be selected in his place? And something is wrong here, guys, with the fixtures on Crick Info. 26 and 28th. Why does it say here that they played DSG 3 times? I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, so Matthew Brzezinski scored. He didn't score any runs in the Paul game, but coming back to Durban, he was phenomenal, and I want to give him some credit for the way that he batted. He's batting with some amazing freedom, and he's not doing it by slapping the ball necessarily all over the ground for six and clearing the stadium. He's doing it with some great cricket shots, which I have to say is phenomenal. And He scored a 78 or 43 balls at a strike of 181.39 in the previous game against the Paul Royals. And he was absolutely fantastic. And he was really looking in great form. I actually caught him at the Paul game, in the one in Paul against obviously against the Paul Royals, and I had a chat to him afterwards. And I'm gonna tell you what I told him, which I don't know if I'm supposed to, but like I told him, look here, Matthew, you've really been good at the crease this season. You're looking like you're on the edge of scoring a big one, and I believe that it's around the corner. Like the way you're playing, you're looking good, and you're just going out just before getting that milestone and getting over the line. And then he agreed with me and he said, yes, but I feel it. I feel it coming. I can feel a good score coming. I'm feeling really good. And the next game he scored 70. So that was fantastic for me. I was sitting there and I was like, wow, it's amazing when you can have a conversation with a player and they say something and they put something into the universe and it actually comes through. Um, that's something that I feel is fantastic. So I thought that was an interesting story to tell you. So he was fantastic in that game, and Heinrich Klaassen was phenomenal. He scored the fastest 50 in the SA20 history. He scored 50 of 16 balls. He reached his 50 of 16 balls and then he went out on his 17th ball. So he scored a 50 of 16 balls, six sixes and two fours at a strike rate of 294.11. Paul Rose looked in control in that game. Really did. Right up until Klaassen came to the wicket, actually. Even though Matthew Bretsky was on fire, they took his wicket in the 17th over. And then Andy Klaassen just took the team apart. He batted right until the last ball and lost his wicket on the last ball. It took them to over 208 for 7. And then the Royals collapsed. They went out for 83. And Mitchell van Buren was very decent. He batted 36 of 27 balls. He batted well, was not out towards the end, but the rest of the batting lineup just didn't come to the party. Interesting to say as well that in Paul, the previous match between the two teams, Quinton de Kock also came to the party, so he stood up. So that's another great fixture that we can talk about. Another great performance from a South African coming to the party, and yet after that, Quinton hasn't been that great again. So he's gone and scored, and then he's dropped off again. Inconsistency we're seeing from Quinton in this tournament so far. So that was that match. And then we had the game last night. Now, a lot of MI Cape Town fans would be disappointed, but I think some South African fans would be excited to see that Faf du Plessis finally came and arrived to the tournament. He's been very poor all tournament. And this match situation was interesting because the match started and I don't like this whole DLS thing, DLS method thing where the game's overs gets reduced in T20 cricket specifically because because the rain literally came out of nowhere, to be honest with you. I never thought that it was possible for. I didn't think it was going to rain at all when I looked at the sky, etc. It was a little bit overcastish, but I didn't think that it was going to rain. It was quite humid. It was windy, but still quite warm and hot. So I didn't think it was going to rain. I was at the game, like I said, but the rain came out of nowhere. And the problem with that is the team that's batting first would have batted with a different mentality, I feel, if they knew it was going to be 8 overs, of course. So the style of batting of Rassie van der Dussen generally and Ryan Rickelton is quite conservative for the first maybe 1 or 2 overs, and then they kick on and they go. Sometimes Ryan goes from the get-go. But it started raining and it put a lot of pressure on the MI Cape Town team because of the start that they got. They weren't at the best of scores, I feel, with the start that they got. So they might have been on a lot more runs if it was already an eight aside. I mean, I would almost like them to see when something like this happens and so many overs gets taken away. I would almost say, you know what, restart the game. Play 8 overs, make it an 8 over side. There's enough time in the day. Just do it that way rather. Restart the game from scratch because I feel it's unfair on the team that's batting first that already got a couple of overs under their belt. Uh, it makes it a little bit unfair for them, in my opinion. But it is what it is. They got to 80 for three, and with the DLS method, the target was pushed up to 90 odd. I can't remember, 97, I think it was a target. And Louis Deploy and Faf du Plessis smashed the MI Cape Town bowlers all around the park, out of the stadium, everywhere. Like they just smashed them. They were ruthless. Now, yes, a lot of that had to do with the ways the MI Cape Town bowlers bowled as well. They didn't bowl very well. But I think it would probably also be because the ball was quite wet. It was difficult to bowl second in this weather, after the weather. And the MI Cape Town bowlers, particularly Kagiso Rabada, really, really struggled. I mean, he went for 38 runs. George Linder went for 21 runs of 1 over. Kagiso went for 38 of 2 overs. And Tushara went for 18 of 1 over. So the bowlers, every single bowler was punished. Maybe perhaps Sam Curran was the most economical, but everybody went double figures with regards to their economy rates. So it was terrible bowling and a bad experience if you're a MS Cape Town fan to see that happen. But then Faf du Plessis scored 50 of 20 balls, 5 4s and 3 6s at a strike rate of 250. And it's probably exactly what the man needed. He's been in such terrible form that I was like, how is he going to get back into form again? And this could possibly have been his saving grace, I would say, because with the 8 overs being available to you now, you're not going to play with the same mentality that you would play if you had the full 20. You're going to come out with a lot more freedom and you're going to come out swinging. And I think that's exactly maybe what he needed, to play with no pressure kind of on him and to go out there and just let loose. It could be exactly what he needs to get himself back into form again. And it is what happened currently. Now let's see if he can maintain it, because they also are going, if they want the situation to be in their own hands, they have to also win all their games. They are currently sitting in a very strong position on the log to make that fourth spot. But because they currently are fourth with 13 points. And it all depends on what they do in their next couple of fixtures, and whether MI Cape Town or the Pretoria Capitals can win their last 2 remaining games with bonus points. I think that will help them a lot if they win with bonus points and JSK lose. So, yeah, going to be very interesting finish to the SA20 tournament. But good to see Faf du Plessis score runs. I got to witness the innings live, so it was very exciting. And also, I got an opportunity to interview a South African artist that has been really doing exceptionally well in South Africa with regards to topping charts with his hit singles. And he was the halftime performer, but unfortunately didn't get to perform at first because of the rain. But then when we got the match, before the match started, he got to actually perform. But unfortunately, to a emptier stadium, because most people left the stadium and went home and didn't wait around for the game to restart. So it would have been nicer if he got to perform to a full Newlands on a weekend game. Kind of hoping that they will call him back to be able to perform again in front of a full crowd. But I interviewed Ricky Fanny Frontline. At the interview is on the channel. I interviewed him for, I think we had a nice deep discussion about his career as well, and asked him a couple of cricket questions too. So go and check that out. But the highlight of the game of the day from a cricket perspective was definitely Faf du Plessis, 50 of 20. And then we have tonight's game. Durban Super Giants are running away with it. They've already qualified and made sure that they are 100% qualified, and uh, I think they've just confirmed the fact that they will probably be top of the log, and so that qualifier is going to be very interesting to see who the team is going to be that's going to meet them there, because it is a race for second spot. And then whoever wins that match goes straight into the final, and the others play eliminators, and there's a third and fourth, and then there's a eliminator as well. So very interesting format. It's pretty much like the IPL, and that's how they've set it up. But today, again, the highlight of the day was Matthew Bretsky, play of the match for me, 100%. He scored 73 of 46 balls at a strike rate of 158, 10 fours and 3 sixes. Absolutely dominant. Amazing form to hit back-to-back 50s. He's been so close on so many occasions, getting 40s here, 48, 46, a couple of 30s here and there, looking in great form, building momentum. And he was just on the brink of getting it. And then last week, in the last match, he got that form that he was leading. He got that hurdle off his back, I would say. He broke that little hoodoo that was hanging over him. And when he did score that last 50, he went like this to the crowd, particularly because, according to him, on the bus before the game, someone chirped him and said that you're only good for 30s and 20s and 30s. You're not good to score big scores. And when he scored that 50, he shushed the person. He didn't mention who the person is, and I don't know who the person is either, so I can't tell you, but at least he was showing some sort of fight and attitude over there. And I like that little spirit and self-confidence. He was man of the match, 100% the standout performer. The only South African really to perform today. So with a bat. So full credit to him and the way he played. And we also have to highlight Junior Dala, 5 for 26. It's not often that you see a 5 in T20 cricket, so you have to highlight it when it happens. So congrats to Junior Dala, who was left out of teams before, not a regular starter, got brought into the team for Topley. I think they're resting Topley, and look what he does. He gets a 5. So there's going to be a massive decision that they're going to need to make with regards to Junior Dala for the next game, and whether they start him, because getting a 5 is a big thing in T20 cricket. I mean, you know that because they show the stats of a 4 on Cricket Info. So they know that it's difficult to get 4 wickets in T20 cricket, never mind a 5 wicket all. So well done to Junior Dala for picking up that. Unfortunately, no South Africans performing really well. I would give Darren de Pavlum some credit though. 3 for 25, 6.25 economy rate. He's looking really good in this tournament, and I know that the Darren de Pavlum brigade is going to come out and say that he should be selected for the Proteas down the line. A lot of fans on this channel have been speaking about him and saying that he should get a call up at some point. He's really proven himself in this T20 tournament. So it will be interesting to see if he can get a Proteas call up in the near future. It is something that we should be talking about as well. Let me just see what some of you guys have said. Priyanshu says, Merlin Test cricket possible or not? Not possible. He's not even playing 4-day cricket. He's retired from 4-day cricket in South Africa, so it's not even possible for him to play Test cricket. Definitely not. Gentleman's Game says, under 19 World Cup never globalized until India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh stopped fielding average adults in under 19 World Cup. Yeah. Oh, stop fielding overage adults in under 19 World Cup. I don't know how true that is necessarily, if that is the case. I think that, India has some great talent. I don't even know what to say to that comment, to be honest with you, because I don't know if that's even true. So I do know that they have a lot of experience. The guys that come from India, they've played a lot of first-class games, etc., already in their careers, and that would help them as well in this format. Um, so yeah, we next up probably we're going to be talking about the test series in New Zealand very very soon. Remember that I'll be doing my review shows after the day's play, so it is quite early in the morning South African Standard Time. Um, there should be some bone tests like they do in the under 16 and under 19 levels this gentleman's game. Oh, are you saying that the players are a lot older than wha- what they birth like? Are you saying that they're older than what they are? That they lying about their age or whatever? I know there's rumors about Pakistan players being a lot older than actually what is said on their birth certificates or on their IDs, etc. But I don't know how true that is. It's just talk. It's always been talk about it, and certain players have come out to say that it is true. But yeah, we'll see about that. Back to what I wanted to say. So we will do. Um, you mean age fudging? Okay, cool. I don't know how true it is if that is happening. So with a New Zealand World Cup with a New Zealand Test series, I'll be going live after the game. The reason is after the day's play. The reason is because it's well fresh in my mind, and I don't really want to necessarily miss anything. I like to do a raw reaction straight after the game because that's when I'm still in my emotions after the match, and I will give you guys a much better review if it's coming straight from the game or the day's play. So directly after the day's play, I'll go live. And also remember that there's still SA20 games happening, unfortunately. So for me to do it later is not going to be viable for any of us on the channel. I think the best time to do it is straight after the test, after the day's play, because a lot of you guys will be watching it, and the ones that are watching it is the ones I also want to speak to. So you guys will still you'll be up and available to be able to watch the show with me, and we can discuss it. So that's what we're going to be doing there. Preview shows will be done in the evenings, this evening slot, because obviously if they say 20 is taking our prime spot, which is 7 o'clock usually. Unfortunately, SA20 has taken that spot, and a lot of the viewers are watching those games rather than tuning into a show. So the preview shows will be done in the evenings at around about 9:15, directly after the SA20 game has been completed. And then we will do the review shows directly after the day's play. So that's just a quick announcement and information for you guys. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please be free to subscribe. If you're new, click that notification bell for all future videos. We are heading towards that 5,000 subscriber mark, and we're really, really close. So please, we're halfway there. So please get, not halfway there, we're almost there. So please help us get there as soon as possible. And also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly and go check out our business corner. All the links are in the description. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again very soon with another daily show. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out.